Today's episode is sponsored by Tulip, an LLC formation company. Form your LLC in under 5 minutes at startwithtulip.com. Enjoy the show.
What's up, guys? It's your boy TJ, your host of Memphis Unheard.
And I'm Dennis the Menace, aka the co-host with the most.
We have a very special guest tonight, Mr. Shanika Watson. How you doing, Mr. Shanika?
I'm doing well.
Great. And let's jump right into it. Let's
Start from the beginning.
start from the beginning. Tell us about your childhood.
I'm sorry, but
Go ahead.
before we get into your childhood, do you mind telling us a little bit about who you are and what it is you would like to share?
Right.
I'm I'm Shanika Watson, and I don't know, just kind of sharing like whatever. It's a lot when I think with anybody who has like backgrounds raised from Memphis, just growing up in society and being
Mhm.
black, especially with being a woman,
Right.
it's a whole lot to like share because I know for me, I make things look so easy, and I be like, y'all don't even understand the struggle. I'm like, I didn't have to go off on some people, got some
Right.
people that hate
See,
me.
that's what
and-
we want to get into the
yeah,
struggle.
so that's what I'll say.
All right.
so-
Well, we're gonna start at the beginning then. Tell us a little bit about your childhood, if you don't mind.
Okay. So I literally have almost said everywhere in Memphis. So I initially stayed in Orange Mound. My
Mhm.
grandparents got custody of me, moved to Hickory Hill when it was like the county, like the really, really like good part of the county. Then I moved to South Memphis, then moved to Whitehaven. And Whitehaven was like my last little place
Mhm.
at 18.
With Orange Mound, if it's any of our business, why did grandmama and granddad have to get custody?
My parents could not like figure it out. So whatever
Were they
me-
young?
Yes, so I had young parents, so I don't know whatever that fiasco was. I just think my grandparents just kind of stepped in and was just like, okay, let's get this child.
Mhm.
What I do know with having like a background in social work is always times where people ask the family members to get the children, and family members will say no.
Right.
So when they stepped in, I appreciate it now as an adult. So when they stepped in and said like, okay, let's get this 2-year-old, because everybody was grown.
So you was two. You
I
was
was
a baby.
two. I was a
Yeah.
baby. So y'all start over, like y'all can live y'all best life. Everybody is grown,
Right.
and then here comes this 2-year-old.
Right. How old were your grandparents at this time?
I have no idea. Like my granddad was already old because he was already 11 years older
Then your
than my grandmother.
Wow.
So I want to say he retired from the city of Memphis when I was like 8.
Mhm.
Wow.
So he was really
Right.
close to like
Yeah.
retirement.
Okay.
And
And
then
retirement back then was what, 55 or 65?
it may have been like 60,
60.
55. It was nowhere what it is now, but
Right.
yeah. So you finna retire and then you got a child and pull-ups.
Hey,
So-
so how was it growing up in a household with older grandparents, which your parents?
So at the time, because I'm thinking now as an adult, at the time, it was fun. Like I can't even say like it was just like a bad experience. Like my grandparents were serious. Like when the lights come on, like you have to like come inside
Like
the
being in the
house.
house.
Yeah.
when the
Right.
lights come
And so
on.
I feel like that was just terrible because the neighborhood that we stayed in, we didn't really have those many kids. So the other kids stayed
it was Orange Round, right?
no,
Oh.
my grandparents
Oh,
stayed in
Hickory
Hickory Hill.
Right.
Yeah. So the kids who like came outside, I would have to ask to cross the street, which means I had to go in the house and be like, "Can I cross the street?" Because it wasn't any children who stayed on that side of the street.
Wow.
So I'm just like,
Hickory Hill was it integrated back then?
not at that time.
It wasn't. Okay.
It ended up becoming that I think I was like 7 to 8 years old because I remember my granddad was like, "We moving to Collierville." My grandma like, "We too old." I do remember that argument. But literally, like it was good because I'm like, I knew every Friday when Red Lobster used to be the place to go, we were going to Red Lobster. I knew what I was gonna get. During the week, if my grandma didn't feel like cooking, people may not even realize what Barn Hills is, but we used to go to
That's all.
Barn
It used to be a
Hills.
buffet. I used to love.
Yeah,
Barn
like we used to go to
Hills.
Barn Hills.
I remember.
We used to do Ryan's, like the
Ryan's had
back in the day
biscuits.
Ryan's, not these new stuff we got going on. I mean, like we were going Houston, Outback. I lived the life. And my grandmother was a first grade teacher, so they had a birthday club. So I'm always the only child to get to go with all the teachers for the birthday club. So I was able to go on Saturdays every month to like maybe like your Houston, your Outback. So I'm a little girl experiencing all this.
Right.
Like the first time I went on a cruise, I was 7 years old,
Wow.
which is why now folks be like, "Oh, we they going on a cruise?" I was like, "Yeah, I was 7."
Seven already.
You know, but
So you was pretty fortunate.
yeah, I mean, I would never not say like I was in a middle class home,
Right.
and so it was just like, okay, let's go ahead and get this child a world. But I mean, I was in so much as a child. I was a Girl Scout. I did ballet. I still know how to play the piano. So I did that for like 8, 9 years. Like I was involved in church. My granddad, he drove the van. He
The
cut
church
the
van?
church, yes,
Mhm.
the church van, cut the church grass, was a trustee. Then my grandma, I think she was on the usher board. Then she was in the choir. Some days we were at church like 3, 4 times a
Mm.
week. I was just like, you know, I was like,
Was your grandparents strict? You know,
well, I don't want to say, I can't say it was strict because I mean, the only person I could just kind of really talk to was like friends from like from school.
Mhm.
But that kind of aligned with if they had older parents.
Mhm.
So like one of my friends to this day, she said she was the oops baby because I think her mother had her at 40. So I was kind of like the only friend that she could talk to because of like her age, because
Right.
of the mother's age
Right.
and my grandmother's age.
Right.
That was like my only like for real friend outside of like some of the kids at school because I went to the elementary school that she taught at.
Mhm.
So like one of my friends now, he's an assistant principal. He would be standing outside when we would get to work, and my grandma would be like, "Well, it's cold. You know what? We just gonna let you inside. Come in with us." So those were like my only like 2 friends because it just kind of like aligned, which is probably why I'm still friends with them today. But they had older parents, and my grandma was like, "Okay, this perfect."
Right.
And so my granddad, he was just like, I can't say he was strict because he gonna curse you out, and that's consistent. He gonna get on you. He gonna fuss. He gonna tell you about like how the goat bit off his finger. He gonna give you a whole lot of stories.
So he was actually missing a finger.
So one thing about this, how I be knowing people don't be my granddad kids. So one thing about us, he knows how to basically, as I say, stone his kids. We all have like, technically I had 12 fingers.
Mhm.
And so of course they cut it off when I was a baby. Well, my granddad
So
had
you
12.
had one extra finger on each hand.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my granddad had it too when he was younger. And he was like, oh, well, he was out there, he was a sharecropper. So he was born in 1933 and he was playing with the ghost or something. And he was like, yeah, they bit my finger off. And so a lot of his kids, and it has, trickled down to me. I don't have any children. They all have the extra finger.
Wow.
So when folks be like, I'm his child, I'm like, let me see your hand. Because even like my dad has it. Everybody has the little right there. So we know.
All right.
I'm like, so he marked his people, so I don't know about you.
Did his parents have it, or he was the first one in your generation?
I don't. So here's the thing: his mom passed away when I was 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I actually got to meet his mom. So I don't not that I know of. I don't know.
Right.
Because she was like, the great grandparent. So yeah, I don't know. They may have had it.
How was the journey from? How did you even with the journey from Orange Mound to Hickory Hill to South Memphis to Whitehaven?
So I decided that I wanted to go stay with my mom. So I have 3 siblings.
Mhm.
So I have 2 sisters and 1 brother. And so I was just like, I'm going to stay with my mom. It seems so cool because keep in mind, my mom is still a younger mom. So I'm just like, oh, okay, I can get to go to South Memphis because she could braid hair and like get to kind of do whatever I want to do in the same sense. And like so my grandparents, they weren't having it. It was for real come in the house when the street lights are on.
Right.
Like, it don't matter if it's still light out, come in the house.
Right.
Like, so in South Memphis, I'm like, well, his kids, I get to cross the street, and it just was like, this is amazing. Now I'm just going over here on weekends, by the way.
Was the South Memphis then the South Memphis we know it to be today?
I don't know what they got going on today. I think it's worse today. I think it's worse today because I kind of ride through on the street that I grew up on, and I just see like the abandoned houses and see like stores closed, and I'm just like, I don't see that sense of community. So even when I did move to South Memphis, the guy that my mother was dating at the time, and I still say my stepdad, it was a family street. So everybody on that street and around the corner, like on Mississippi, was related. So, and then at first I was like, oh, this is great. But then when you start like getting in trouble, like they telling on you, like, golly. But it was really that sense of community. Like they really like looked out for you though. And so now people don't look out for you the way that they used to, because you have folks saying like, that's my child. Don't say anything to the child.
Right.
When I stayed in South Memphis, they was snitching on me left and right. We saw her with that little boy. I'm like,
what type of trouble was you getting into?
I was just like, first of all, I was new and I came from Hickory Hill, so I didn't talk like them. Right. And so I was going to the Boys and Girls Club and I already knew how to type. So I was like, I'm not finna play, your basketball or whatever. I'm not doing that. I'm finna go back here and get on the computer. And that's what I would do. So it's like, you the new girl on the block. And I was just like, oh, it's so many boys. I'm like 7th grade.
Right.
And so it's just like, we saw her walking with this boy. I'm like, so? Like, why are you telling on me? Right. It was just all like type of craziness. And I'm just like, okay, but at White Station Middle, I'm just like, you didn't see like those many like African Americans at White Station Middle. It was really, really, it's really diverse, but it was a very small percentage. And then with elementary, we had African Americans that went to Richland, but we didn't have a whole lot. Like people don't even know Richland Elementary was even a city school. I'm like, it's always been.
Is it still existing?
Yeah,
I never heard of
it.
Exactly.
It is right. It's 5440 Rich Road over there on Walnut Grove and Yates in that area.
Wow.
Yeah, like that's
a well-to-do area though, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we didn't have those many like African Americans. So all the black people knew each other. Like we could name every black person. It was kindergarten through 6. We could name everybody.
Every black person, kindergarten through 6.
Yes.
Wow.
So, like I said, I got over to South Memphis. It's like I've never seen these many black people at one time. I was just like, this is just lovely. Until I just kind of started kind of going to school, and I realized like how I speak was not like how they spoke. And so I remember calling my grandmother. Was just like, they saying I speak like I'm white, and she was like, "It's no such thing as that."
Right.
And I was just like, but she's like, it's no such thing as that. And so when they would try to like tease me about that, they're like, you read like you white. And so that's why I was just like, well, at least I can read.
Right.
Because I'm like, y'all stuttering and all type of stuff. And then, it'd be fight. They'd be like, you black. I'm like, but aren't you? They're like, you extra black. I'm like, okay. Right. Or they'll be like.
When they was referring to your skin tone?
Yeah. And I'm just like, okay. But then like your no-name shoes. But I'm just like, I mean, I still to this day don't understand why everybody has to wear the same pair of Jordans. I'm like, why does it have to be the same? Can you be different?
Right. Is that why they called you a sellout?
I don't think that's why they called me a sellout per se at that point in my life. Not at that point, because that sellout part didn't really come seriously until I was like, hey, I'm going to college. Okay. I'm not gonna turn tricks, because that's what people will want you to do, is be like, hey, he got some money.
So you actually had people trying to influence you to do that?
Like turn tricks
or family members?
No, like it's I didn't have friends. They was like, he a drug dealer. I'm just like, okay. Like, I understand, but you gotta realize I come from a foundation. I'm already kind of used to stuff. Like, yeah, when I moved to South Memphis, that was fine. That was a reality check. Mm-hmm. And then when we moved to Whitehaven, there was another reality check, because like my mom and my stepdad, for example, they had separated. So it was just the 4 kids and my mama in the house. So it had become a time where like times had really, really just gotten hard, and my mom it was hard. She couldn't afford to take care of minimum wage. Then is almost what it is now.
So mom had a minimum wage job?
Well, she was working at KM Logistics at the time. Mm-hmm. I think it's Cummins now, but that's where she was working. Mm-hmm. And so I was in high school. My siblings were in middle school, and then my brother was in elementary.
So you was the oldest?
I was the oldest, yeah. Right. So it was times, it was just like, I don't know, y'all. We got $700 light bill. It's just so far. Food stamps gonna take you, like, whatever. So I'll never forget, the lights got like cut off, and it was some guy that stayed in the neighborhood. He's like, I want to come in. I'm like, we ain't got no lights, so you gonna stay out here talking to me on the porch? And he was like, we can get a meter. I'm like, what we gonna do with the meter? He said, you gonna have some lights? I'm like, for real? Let's show me. Yeah. And like literally.
Wow.
And so I'm like, okay, cool. And so like he put the meter on there. And so I walked in. No, I didn't even walk in. My sister opened the door, was like, shit, we got some lights. I was like, yeah. They was like, how we get some lights? Mama paid the bill. Like, who know about it?
Right.
I was like, so literally, like, I'll never forget. My mama came home and she was like, how we get some lights? And I'm like, you gotta ask Shaniqua because she's like, he's there, y'all. And literally, I had told my mom, I was like, I'm talking to this dude outside. I was like, he wanted to come in, and he was like, I was like, we ain't got no lights. And he was like, okay. He told me to come with him and get a meter. And so she looked at me.
So you went with him to get him?
Yeah.
Where y'all gonna get the meter
So
from?
we went and got the meter out the other apartment.
was it an empty apartment?
It was definitely an empty
okay.
apartment because he was like, make sure. I was like, okay. I mean, I'm just like, well, shoot, if we finna figure out how to get some lights, then that's what we finna do. And literally, like, that's how we was set up for a minute. So
how long did y'all have the meter?
Look, we had to meet like 6-7 months. Like we
Wow,
had a
y'all did
system.
good then.
Like, you know, it was like, all right, child, you know, you gotta, okay, go on, take your baths, go on, take a shower, get stuff situated. Make sure before you leave, pull that meter out. Right. So I would have to get my other sister, the girl after me. I'm like, all right, you know, down the street, check, make sure you don't see the police, don't see security. I'm finna snatch this meter out and boom, take it in the house. We finna call this when we had a system.
You took the meter in the house.
Meter out when you gone in case they come check the meter. Yeah. Wow.
So I was just like, I just felt like, hey, I know how to. At that point, I didn't taught my sister who is like 3.5, 4 years younger than me how to do the meter too. So now we know how to pop it in, pop it out, and be like, you know, ooh, like that was our setup.
Yeah, survive.
Yeah, and
you wanted to help mom.
Yeah, because I'm just like, I mean, we ain't have lights. I mean, what we gonna do? You buying food stuff, but how many cold cuts you finna eat? Like you get sick of it. Like sometimes you really do want the noodle on the stove.
And then you didn't want to turn tricks.
Right. Well, and I'm just like I said, because here's the thing, like I think when we moved to King Gates, I was 14. So
King Gates used to be rough.
Yeah. So you know, well, that's when I think they had just turned into like New Horizon, but it's King Gates. We know that. Of course, like, yes, I'm 14, but I look older, like how I've just measured out, going through puberty, whatever. I looked older. So yes, I look like I'm like 16. So when people like guys walk by, you already think like, okay, she's 16. Like, I'm really 14. But I'm like, whatever, you talking, running your mouth. I'm like, well, I know we ain't got no lights.
Messing with boys at the age of 14?
I was. I'm so terrible. That was me. But I'm just like, at this point, especially when we moved to Whitehaven, I'm like, we ain't got no lights. And why you talking to me?
Right.
It's like, because some days my mom didn't have it. So I'm just like, if you're talking to me, like Wendy's used to be right there by King Gates. I'm like, you need to, it was Wendy's, I think in a car lot. I was like, you talking to me? I'm like, it's not just me. You doing all this talking. I got some siblings like in the house. So don't say you finna buy me a Junior Bacon cheeseburger. You can buy all of us one.
Right.
For you to even just start having conversations with me. Because at this point, I wasn't just thinking about me. Right. First of all, I know if my mama find out, I'm gonna get my ass kicked anyway.
Right.
But I'm finna make sure, like, hey, at least we ate. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, and I ain't finna do nothing with you. Like, you old. I'm 14. I know I look like I'm 16, but sir, you definitely look like you 27.
Was you telling guys you 16 or 14?
I told them I was 14. That's like a lot of guys really do not care. They're not.
That's crazy.
They're not even paying attention to you saying your age. They're not doing anything but looking at your body. That's what you look. That's what they're looking at.
That's it.
And I'm like, to this day, I know that hasn't changed.
Right.
Oh, no.
And I'm sure like most 14, 15-year-olds, they're not even gonna say like, hey, this is what has happened. Because I'm like, I know what it feels to be like in that uncomfortable like situation.
Right.
So, but literally that was just how we was just kind of making it. And so we ended up moving to Cambridge Court, right down the street. And I was over there for a while. Me and my mom got into it. So I moved to Atlanta with my dad. And that was the worst mistake of my life. But
why was it the worst mistake?
Moving with my dad, at that time he was on wife number 3.
Wow.
Yeah, wife number 3. So he was gonna marry this lady, and you can tell when somebody don't want you in your house. She had 2 other kids, and so when I got there, it just felt weird. It felt real off. Like you can tell like somebody's just trying to pretending to tolerate you. And I'm like, at this point, I think I was 16. I'm like, whatever. You know, so I'm working first thing I did when I moved to Atlanta, I got a job. Because at this point, this is all I know. Because technically my first job, if I back up, was in South Memphis at Boys and Girls Club. It was Southside Boys and Girls Club. and I was a junior counselor. So I got my
Right.
first paycheck at 14.
Right.
And it was number $30, but I didn't feel like
That's a lot.
I didn't hit it. Right, 14, like you can't tell me anything. I'm going to the candy lady on Trig.
Right.
Like that's what I'm gonna do. But so if I go back to like 16, I started working at like the Taco Bell and Pizza Hut in Atlanta. And so I got down, the first thing I wanted was like a job. And so she had kind of like the little woman, she had just kind of just started tripping, kind of getting my dead ear. I'm just like, man, here we go with these different wives.
When you said the woman, you talking about the wife.
But she was the
fiancé.
wife, yeah, she was
the
still the
fiancé.
fiance.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man, I've been through so many of these. Like, it don't even matter. Every time you turn around, I don't say every time you turn around, but I'd be like, I know when I feel like he finna marry somebody, he gonna really bring them around. And now we gotta fake the funk. Well, I gotta fake the funk because I'm his only child. He's like, oh, here we go.
You still his only child?
Yeah. I'm like, now that was something smart. Like, it ain't nobody else out here.
Right.
And I'd be like, look, my dad finna be like 54. I highly doubt
if he gonna have any more.
Right.
Right.
So, literally, she was just like, to me, just a terrible person. It had got to the point like, she like, you don't need to eat my food. I'm just like,
Wow.
okay.
What was your dad saying?
Nothing. Like, he was loving the shit out of her. And I would literally like I would call my grandparents, but he ended up taking the phone because he was paying a phone bill.
Was he abusive? No.
Mm-mm. Well,
Was he verbally abusive?
it was, I'm not gonna say like he was verbally abusive. I think because it was so much going on in the house with dealing with her, and then she has her son just acting out like her son was like it was a mama's boy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm real good at like, if I don't agree with you, you're gonna know I don't agree with you. But that don't mean like I dislike you. I just don't agree with you. Like I still have that issue to this day.
Right.
And so he'll just say little stuff. And I thought her other son, he was cool. So like at that point, I'll never forget Chris Brown, a little ballad came up with whatever song they had, something Shorty Like Mine. That was the song that they had. So me and her youngest son, like I'll talk to him because he seemed normal. But the oldest son, he was just weird. He was even weird when we were at school. And so literally he would just start trying to keep up mess and all type of stuff. And he was just like, I hate you. I don't know why you here. And I'm just like, shit, I don't know why
Just the
I'm here.
oldest son, right?
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know why I'm here either. Like,
All right.
I need to go back to Memphis. And it literally had got to the point where she was just like, well, she needs to get up and go to church. Hell, I only work on the weekends.
Right.
And so you already said, like, you don't need to eat my food. My dad done took the cell phone. And so I remember when she said, don't eat my food, I was like, who?
How did that make you feel? Like the people that's supposed to take care of you saying they don't want you to eat their food.
I think
dad is just standing there watching.
I think honestly, I think at that point I was just like, I had a whole like, you know what, fucking mentality. I was like, I'm gonna eat these cheesy beefy meals at Taco Bell on the weekends, and I'm gonna have like some little money there. At that time, Wells Fargo was Wachovia. So when I get paid, I'll just like eat at school. It was a CVS not too far from the house. So I would jump off the school bus and go in CVS. And if I didn't have it, I had enough to get like children's Motrin. And with the children,
the pill?
Yeah. But see, it was like, it's for children, but it was like orange, the mandarin. So it had like a taste to it. So I'm like, I would just eat that.
Eat the pill? Wow.
And I'm just like, yeah, because I'm like, all right, because the French fries were $3 at school. So I'm just like, all right, I got to figure out how to make this work. So I'm like, I'm trying to eat these one day. I know I'm going to go to work. I'm going to try to save some stuff from work to just, make things work.
And how long did that go on?
I think I was maybe like 2.5, 3 months, because he ended up marrying her. And so when my grandparents came down, and I'll never forget, for the wedding, they went and got the guys, her sons, like all these nice tuxedos, XYZ. They went and got me an outfit from Rainbow.
For real?
And so when my grandma came down, she was just like, well, what is Shaniqua wearing? And I had actually asked her, I was like, hey, when you and Papa come, can I stay with you all at the hotel? And she was like, yeah. And so I don't think I had even told them exactly what was going on, but they had enough sense to realize, like, why do you want to stay at the hotel? You got a house? And so she did ask me. She was like, well, Shaniqua, what are you wearing to the wedding? I was like, just some black pants and this little gold shirt. And she's like, you look like you're going to Hillcrest. Wow. And she's like, okay. So we went to Dillard's. and she found
Found you
me
something.
found me something to wear. And I'll never forget, my dad was like, "Oh, it's fine when you found her something to wear." We took her to Rainbow. She said she liked Rainbow. And my grandma was like, "You mean to tell me her sons got tuxedos and you took her to Rainbow?" He was like, this, and she was like, "This is the time basically like she ain't talking about anything with no rainbow. You find her something nice, to
Right.
wear." And so I think if that was like really the turn of stuff, and I know
Right.
that wife just could. At this point, she a wife, so I know
she
she
couldn't.
couldn't
Right.
stand it. And so it had got to the point I wasn't talking to nobody at the house. I'm just like, you know what? I'm in a place like I don't even want to be here.
Right.
I
And what type of relationship do you and Pops got now?
don't talk to him.
Because of
But how did that impact your dating abilities as it relates to men? How did that impact you?
I'm gonna say this. I think now I've gotten better, but then because I realized like the first time I had got tased with a stun gun was when my dad tased me, and so I didn't even know what it was called. It was just, I'm like, because I was trying to explain it to my grandparents, and I literally was just like, it's a little thing, and it looked like lightning. I didn't even know what it was called at 16. And so I think that just kind of played a lot into a whole lot of things. So I'm like this, look, if you can't trust your dad, then who you gonna trust? But I still had my granddad, like, who didn't show me how to use a calling card, because I had started calling my grandparents, going in Walgreens, getting a calling card and using a payphone to call them and let them know what was going on.
Right.
So I still had my granddad had kind of taught me some things when I would be watching him, like cutting yards and knowing how to like get some wood, put it on the wood splitter. I still had that from him. But with my dad, I'm just like, man, this is crazy. So what I do now, I try my best not to really like kind of talk about like the situation like with my dad, because here's the thing. I did go through that part with my dad, and it was a lot with it. But even when my grandparents had custody of me, my dad was in the house though. But it wasn't like
your dad was living with you and your grandparents at that time?
yeah, he was in the house. But to me, how I look at it, I'm like, I was just like a little sister. Like he may take me with him
Wow.
sometime, but it's like I was like a little sister.
So he wasn't really like a father figure.
Yeah, I mean, I would go around and like he worked at Snapple. Like, like some days I may be in the car, but then some days it'd be like, okay, I got my daughter with him. And I think that's because my grandparents probably just like take your child with you type things. Because any other time I was there with my grandma, like watching soap operas.
Right.
So like he was in the house, and like I remember he moved out the house. And like my grandparents like, so do you want to take your child? Like
That's crazy.
and never even like say anything about it. When he moved to Atlanta with the first wife, second wife, she had a son, and my grandparents were like, "So your daughter's still here." Did not even attempt to take me to Atlanta, and I'm just like, okay. Like I remember my grandma like telling him to buy like Christmas gifts, and my grandma was just like, "You sat up here and bought some clothes and crap from Gap." And she was like, she can't wear none of this shit. Like, where her stuff at? And my grandma was like, so you're not going to get the child anything? So I was around for all them little conversations. So I think as it kind of goes in today, I just be like, you know what? That expectation that I think I had for him, I don't have that expectation. So what I do, like, if it comes to the dating world, if I start seeing kind of like similarities, I'll just kind of have to sit back and go in like observation mode. Because I need to see, like, am I just like kind of prejudging you because I know how my dad was, or this is just you and you probably going through some things.
Have you met any men that gave you that daddy vibe, like so from your past, like, hey, that reminds me of my dad?
Not really. Not really. Not really.
You mentioned that you dated a lot of guys here in Memphis, right? You said drug dealers and men for protection. Give us pretty details.
So I will say this. Even at a young age, good and well, if you in a car and you just constantly stopping at houses, that something is off.
Right.
And I'm just like, okay, but I'm stupid. So I'm just like, okay, well, I'm going for a ride. Cool. Like, you pull up, and this was during the time when, what was it? The Crown Victorias.
Victoria's,
Crown
yeah.
Victorias and Grand Marquis. You pulling up in these beautiful, colorful cars, these rims spinning.
Right.
I'm just like, all right, cool. Because in the same sense, like, my mama wasn't no dumb. Because I had a job,
So you
too.
were staying with woman at this time.
I was like, because I ended up moving back from Atlanta. So I was staying, like, with my mom.
Right.
And I'm working at Taco Bell, like Winchester and Elvis Presley. So I'm just like, oh, okay,
All
which is in Whitehaven.
Still there.
So I'm just like, oh, okay. I mean everybody do drive through. Like, it didn't matter. Like, but you still, like, I'm down the street from King Gates. We in Cambridge. No, we had moved to Coventry. When I moved back to Memphis, we was in Coventry Apartments. So we met all through Whitehaven. You still got Kazazza that was right there. So you done seen all them folks too. So at this point, I ain't have a car. You want to talk to me, you have to be a drug dealer. You have to have a Grand Marquis or a Crown Victoria, and it need to be on rims. Other than that, I'm not going to talk to you.
Right.
Because, for what?
Right.
You don't need to be walking like me, like.
Right.
And so.
So that was the logic behind it. I don't want you walking like me.
No, you can't. You cannot be walking.
Right.
I can't be walking. You can't be walking.
Right.
I'm sorry. Like, it's just not going to happen. And if you showing up with all this, yes, you must have some money. So that means you, at this time, you finna get ready to feed me and my siblings. I'm big on that. You finna feed all of us.
Right.
Like, I already know, like, I'm gonna have to ride with you, go do all this extra other stuff. And you know, you're gonna have to give me something. It ain't gonna be no $10, $15. Like,
right.
I didn't see you pull out all this and you wanna, no, you're not.
Right. So it was a survival tactic.
It definitely was a survival tactic.
Right.
And so I'm just like, I mean, you know, it is what it is. But it did come in handy when I get, like, in situations, like, if I'll get suspended from school and I ain't really feel like calling my mom, I'd be like, text the phone.
Call him.
Yeah, I'm like, can you come pick me up?
All right. What would you get suspended for?
Everything. Well, not everything. I would have, like, overnight suspension. I didn't want to wear a uniform because I have an issue. I don't want to look like everybody else. To this day, you can tell me everybody is wearing red. I'm just not going to do all red. I'm probably going to put something pink on with. I just have an issue. I'm like, why do I have to look like everybody else? I have that individuality part. That is me by itself.
Right.
And so whatever you say, do it. I'm like, I'm going to put something with it.
Right.
And so I'm just like, excuse me. So it would be like overnight suspensions, just all type of stuff. But overnight, you had to bring your parent. And I'm like, well, shoot. Anyway, I ain't got this overnight now. Like, you ain't doing them because you sleep. You sleep during the day. Like, your trapping hours, like, come get me.
Right.
And so my mama sleep during the day too because she works at night. She worked third shift. So she know I'm at school.
Right. Did they ever get you back in school or you had to get mom to take you back?
Because I literally, like, I ain't crazy. I know what time. Like, hey, you going to have to, like, drop me off.
Right.
All right. Don't drop me off. I got to make sure I'm at the house before I go these other kids, before my siblings get here. Like, I got to be at the house so they can see me, like, at the house. And I was just like, you know, once they situated, go on, handle your business. You know, you got to come back and get me. I know my mama going to call around like a little 4, 5 o'clock time. Then she going to call again on her break time. Like, I knew the setup.
Right.
And so I made it work.
Right.
So I'm like, you know.
Did you ever get into any situations though? You know, riding with the drug dealers or?
Did I get into? No, I didn't get into a situation. I think I got into a situation one time where I had one of my friends with me and we had met this guy and he was like, y'all gonna come back to my apartment. And I'm just like, why? And then my friend like, girl, come on. And I'm just like,
It'll always be the friend.
I'm like, you know, you can feel like it ain't right. I'm like, I'm kind of used to doing my dirt by myself. And I'm just like, all right. So we ended up getting in this guy car with him, left Whitehaven. I think we went all the way to we went to East Memphis and we went to the Trails apartment.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just like, I said, girl. And so there was like 2, 3 dudes up in there. And I'm just like,
y'all was the only 2 women in there?
Yeah, I was just like, bro, what are we doing? She's like, no, he cool. I'm like, fool, we just met this man.
Right.
We done already jumped in the car.
Right.
What you mean he cool?
Right.
She was just like, nah, he cool. I'm just like, I don't know. So I'm like, well, I'm gonna go to the restroom, but how their apartment was set up at the restaurant was also like kind of next to the kitchen.
Right.
So I was like, nah, let me go in this kitchen real quick while they trying to like entertain her. I gotta get a knife or
Get
something because just in
protect
case,
yourself.
I'm like, just in case, man, they ain't gonna take us back or they try to take it. Like somebody finna die.
Right.
And literally, it had gotten bad like that night because the dude did not want to take us back home. And I'm sitting up here like
How late was it?
I want to say it had got to the point it was like 10:30. My mama finna get ready to get off because
Right.
this is her early day that she's gonna get off. I gotta have my ass back at the house because my mama will literally whoop you with like an extension cord, a car jack, all type of.
Not
Nah.
a car jet.
Yeah, she wasn't playing.
I was
I'm
back in the
like,
day.
whatever, like she can pick
What else
up.
you put
like,
her hands on?
yeah, like no, I'm like no, I gotta get back to the house. Like I'm already out here. Like I can't literally call my grandparents who still stay in Hickory Hill and be like, hey, I'm with this random person around the corner. We gotta get back. So dude thought he wanted to bring us back. I'm like,
He told you weren't gonna bring
He's
it
like,
back?
man, I ain't taking y'all nowhere. And my friend was up here begging. I'm like, well, we gonna be slicing and dicing. And I had started pulling the knife, and I was like trying to stab the man. That man
For
heard
real?
me took our ass off. Like I thought, he's like, y'all get the fuck out. I said, so like we
Right.
we at home though.
Right.
Before my mama got off. And I told her, I was like, we would never do that.
Do
shit
that
again.
again.
I was like, because we almost did bacon. She's like, I'm so glad you thought to get a knife. Wow. Because you didn't think
I know,
nothing.
right?
You begging him to take you back.
Right.
You gonna take us back.
Right.
Now, I don't know if it may work like this now in these times, but it worked
Back then.
during
It
that
saved
time.
you. It saved you that time.
Yeah, so I'm just like,
Okay.
all right, okay. But that also kind of like opened my eyes. So if I'm still was gonna deal with dudes who were drug dealers doing their stuff in the streets, at this time, my sister, she had a cell phone too. So I would be like, hey, I'll low key be like, okay, these are tag numbers. This his
Right,
name.
right.
This who he with.
Right.
And I go like boom and like delete the number and delete the messages. But my sister would have it.
Have it right. Right.
So I had to kind of start being like kind of careful with it. And then I had also got to the point where I'd be like, okay, I'm like, hey, can you stop at the store? Because I always would want, it was intentional though. I'm like, can I have I want a grape jungle juice and some hot fries. That was like my thing.
Mhm.
And so every time, no matter who I got in the car with, they would literally stop at the store. So I would tell my sister, like, hey, this the store, where we at. They have cameras and they should be able to see the car.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So even though I'm like, now I know good and well, if I'm 16 while I'm in the car with this 25-year-old man, I know he's a drug dealer. But in the same sense, look, I need to be smart. With
Right.
this.
Did the guys know your age at that time?
Yeah, but at that time, I did them like I'm 16, but they didn't.
They don't
They didn't
care.
care.
Right.
Right.
Because right
Right.
now you feeling yourself anyway because you
Right.
got all this, and I'm just like, I'm stupid too. So I'm just like, you do got all this,
Right.
and I'm just like, and here I go. I'm still working at Taco Bell, just walking through the cut.
Right.
And so I think at that time, if I'm not mistaken, my stepdad was still living. He got killed in the tornado that hit Memphis in 07, 08.
Wow.
So that tore up Hickory Hill.
Yeah.
I remember when the mall got tore up. And
Mhm. So it was a warehouse, and he was the one that got killed in the warehouse.
Was it Jib? What gate? Wasn't it a J word?
I forget the name of the warehouse,
Jibble or Jabble or something like that.
but he got killed in the warehouse. And honestly, when he got killed, that time my mama wasn't working. He was like taking care of all the bills. Only one was working was me and him. But at this point, he was like, you keep your money. I was just like, okay. Now see, and at that time, when I would get in trouble, I wouldn't call my mama. I'll call her. I'll be like, Greg, can you come get me? I got an overnight suspicion. Don't wake my mama up. Go get me. And he would literally like come and
Come
like
get
come
you.
get me. And so literally, he had just came and got me, and I think cleared my suspension the same day he got killed
Wow.
in the tornado.
How did that make you feel?
That just took me to a place where I'm just like, this isn't reality. Because I remember him putting on his boots, going to work, and I'm like, well, I'm still walking across the street to Taco Bell. And I remember his cousin calling, he's like, Shnickle, what's the name of the warehouse that Greg worked at? And at that time I remembered, I don't remember now. And he told me, he was like, Shnickle, that warehouse just got hit in the tornado. He was like, have you talked to Greg? I was like, no, I ain't talked to Greg. And so I started calling the phone. And so I remember telling my manager, I'm like, I need to go home. So by the time I got to the house, my sister and my mom was gone. So it was just my younger brother and my other sister there. And I was like, y'all talk to Greg? She was like, nah, we've been calling. She was like, my mom and my sister, they're out there at the warehouse looking for him.
Right.
And so literally my mom was out there all night, could not, like, he did not come out. And so they actually ended up like finding him.
Wow.
Did
I
they
remember
say
being
how
on the
they
news.
found him?
They was like his face was flat because everything had,
Fell on him.
fell on him. And he actually was trying to help another lady get out. And I think she ended up like surviving.
Wow.
Oh, that's
And so that was like a turn. When I say a real turn in life, because my mom was not working. I was the only one. At 16, I was the only one working. And so he had a son. So I still say my stepbrother. He didn't stay with us at that time. He had went on over to Claiborne Homes with his mom. And so I was just like, Darius is finna lose his mind. That's all. I was just like, he's finna lose it. And so literally it had just, life hit. Like my mom wasn't working. I went to seeing us. Like I was trying to pay my mom a car note. I was paying like $175 every 2 weeks because she had expedition. Like she was really looking, like trying to find jobs, but she couldn't get herself together because really out of all the men that my mom had dated and all the daddies, she only had 3 baby daddies, so she did pretty good. It was 4 kids, 3 baby daddies. And she was married to 2 of them. I'm like, oh, yeah, you did good.
She did good.
But Greg literally took my mom. You took my mom, and then you took these 4 kids too, and you have 1 child. Most men don't even want to be bothered.
Right.
And then you got 3 girls and my mom. That's a whole lot of personalities because we do have multiple personalities.
Right.
And so literally that was really the only person, my little brother, who he knew. And that was the only man that's just kind of like, yeah, of course, parents are going to have issues, but who my mom like really loved, really cared about. And so when he died, life just spiraled out of control. Like I do remember at like one point in time, I think my mom had like left for like a couple days, and maybe it's just to kind of get herself together. But we like, I'm older, so whatever.
Is this was around the time when the lights and stuff started getting cut out?
No, this was well, the lights had got cut off when I was 14.
Okay.
So this was like I was 16, 17.
Okay.
I mean, but the lights got cut off again because I'm like, I was only making $6.07 at Taco Bell, like trying to pay a car note, like trying to keep lights on. Like I'll never forget, the lights did get cut off one day, and I did not go to school, and I had like $400 in my bank account, and I think we had to give them like $3.99.
Wow.
So my mama took me to I wasn't at Wells Fargo, I was at Bank of America. That was on Elvis Presley, and I sat up there, pulled all the money out the bank, took it to MLG&W on Shelby Drive. By the time my siblings got back, they never knew the lights had been cut off.
No more.
That was all that I had.
How did you feel?
We had lights. Like
Right.
I'm like, I mean, either
So
I'm gonna
it's
go
kinda
back to doing a
bittersweet.
meter. Like I'm like, but that was a lot.
but
You
it's
know,
like-
like let me just.
Right.
That was it was a lot, you know. But I mean, I'm just like, all right, because this is it was a lot just even trying to like process. Because yes, I call him my stepdad, but my mom wasn't married to him. So you're not married to him. You didn't get nothing. You want the beneficial. It was nothing. And she wasn't working. So I'm like, you still got rent, you got us. I mean, yeah, for a little while, we just really was just kind of staying in that apartment. I believe the apartment complex thought that we had moved out.
Wow.
But we hadn't. Because like when I lost my job at Taco Bell, I mean, that was it. I was doing a program called Upward Bound, and Southwest still has. But they paid us to come to school on Saturdays. So I was just like, cool. So I was getting that money. I was doing little programs because I wasn't getting hired either. So we had to figure out something. Now, the great bad thing that I still had my drug dealers like in the back. I was just like, look, you for real gonna have to you're gonna have to focus. Like this was like it's hard out here. And I like blah blah. I'm like, look, I'm not messing with your homeboys. This is what it is. I mean, the worst you can do is tell me no. So I really didn't have like that issue because one of the guys really was my boyfriend. So he was just like, all right. So he really was like being nice. He was whatever trapping. And so he really would be like, here you go. And then I did start getting greedy because I'm just like, it's only like $100, bro. I'm like, it's 4 kids in the house.
Right.
He was like, what you want me to give you more than that? Yes, fool, give me more than that. So my mouth started kind of getting me in trouble. And I think he's like, I'm let her go. I'm just like,
So he quit messing with you.
I'm just like, that's cool. Like, whatever, find somebody.
Did
Like,
you find somebody?
Absolutely. It wasn't hard. Like
Right.
it had got to the point like it was just like a system of like routine. And I'm like, and if I really gotta do it like real bad, I gotta go back to South Memphis. This ain't hard. I'm gonna get on the 43 and keep it on down. I'm gonna ride the bus.
Right.
I'm gonna get to South Memphis. I know enough people over there.
Right.
And then I still had like friends in the neighborhood. And so it is what it is. And so it was that process was like it was hard trying to even just see my mom like this, see my siblings like that. I'm just like, I'm going into actually my senior year.
High school.
Senior year of high school.
Right, there you go.
And literally, we were finally able to like move into an apartment, Hillcrest Apartments, which is crazy. My cousin signed for the apartment so we could get in there. And I think my mom had started working there. Either it was the Dollar Tree somewhere. She had started trying to work somewhere. And so life had gotten a little bit better. And like I paid for my prom dress, and it's my senior year, so my grandparents paying for stuff too. So it's kind of a little bit, we kind of making it work. And literally, we turned around and got evicted the day before I graduated high school.
Wow.
So
Like actually put out on the street.
they were coming to serve us, I think May 17th. I graduated May 17th. And my mom was like, all right, y'all, we gotta go. Well, May 17th of 2009, I already pretty much I knew what college I was going to and everything. So I was literally staying with one of my friends because I really didn't want to tell my grandparents what situation we in. Because I'm like, I'm 18. At this point, they tired. You know what I'm saying? It's like, we've been doing this like when you was with us, now you're not with us. And one thing I can say about them, like if I needed something, even if it was food, even when we stayed in South Memphis, whatever, they wouldn't just come bring me some shit. They gonna come bring the whole house something, right? They just wouldn't do it like that. So I didn't want to say like we ain't got nowhere to stay. And I'm just like, so I stayed with one of my friends for a while. And then I ended up staying with my cousin. I was in Upper Bound. I went to Chicago for a trip with Upper Bound. And the girl after me called, was like, hey, when you come back, I need to go to the doctor. I'm like, why, girl, you pregnant or something? She was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, shit. Because she was like, what, 15, 16? I was like, bruh. I said, all right. So when we came back, when I got back, I was like, all right, we're going to ride the bus. I don't have a car. We're going to ride the bus. We're going to go to South Memphis Clinic. They're going to see you. They're going to let us know. We did that. I was like, oh, shit,
she was pregnant.
And so they was like, well, she got to come back with her mom. I was like, shh, baby, you old on this one. Because I'm like, I know that my mama going to go off on me.
Right.
So literally, I was like, well, will you tell her? Don't tell her I took you to the doctor. Just say, I just got you like a pregnancy test. If you going to say I did something.
Did she say?
So, yeah, she snitched on me all the way. Because I saw my mama call the phone. I was like, shit.
You stay get ready long.
I was like, damn. And I was like, hello, how far along is she? I was like, huh? And at that time, she just going off. And
going off on you.
Yeah, and I'm just like, first of all, I'm 18 at this point.
Right.
Like, why you going off on me? She can you get on her? And so I ended up saying like how far along she was, and this is what they said. And I'm like, you're gonna have to take her up there to the doctor and all these different things. And I'm still getting cussed out. I'm like, I'm not the one that's pregnant here.
Right.
I'm like, you used to tell me. Now I was smart though. When I was messing with them guys, my mom would be like, look, if you end up pregnant, I'm gonna beat your ass. All type of stuff. And I'm the first child. I was like, all right, like, if I don't do nothing else, you ain't finna trap me. I know how to get my own condoms. Like, you got me messed up. You ain't finna be poking no hole. I don't care. Turn the light on, let me see, because you ain't finna have my mama like beat the hell out.
Right.
And literally, that's why I was upset. I'm like, she's pregnant. You not finna beat the hell out of her, right? And so literally, my mama was so upset that she was pregnant, but she was crying. And I'm just like, but you not, and I'm,
crying upset or crying happy?
She was just crying because she was just, I don't know, she felt like she was upset. Just a series of emotions, but we're all kind of separated because my sister was staying with, well, now it's her husband, was staying with them. My brother and...
So your sister married the guy she was pregnant by?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's dope.
Well, no, she's married to him now.
Right.
That wasn't the guy who she was pregnant by. But anyway... Okay. So that sister was staying there. I think I had found when I came back from Chicago, I finally went back over to my grandparents' house because I'm thinking ready to go to college now. So they're gonna take me down the road to like college. So it's like, all right, cool. They ain't gotta know everything else. And my siblings my brother and my youngest sister, I think they were with my mom like in Raleigh. And because she had met a new guy. So I was just like, okay, I'm not gonna say a new guy because we knew him growing up. And so we were all kind of separated at the moment. So when she called, I was just like, you gotta take her to the doctor. I gotta did my part. And I'm just like, but you're not gonna whoop her, you're not gonna beat her, all these like I just
All
because
that shit she had
y'all
made
don't
against me.
understand, I got a lot of it. And I was trying to see like how did she get away with murder? I'm just like, I'm 18, I didn't graduate, and I'm still getting cussed out. I'm
Right.
gonna go to school. But anyway, literally that ended up happening. And so I remember going to Lane. I came back just to visit because I hadn't transferred yet. And my mom and them, they were staying in Fraser off Delwood and Steele at Peachtree Apartments. I didn't know what type of ghetto there was. And so when I got over there, I was like, what is this? And she's like, Shanika, we're in Fraser. She's like, I know you 18, but I don't want you going outside. I'm like, why are you here?
Right.
I'm like, we've been in some situations, but I was like, this is not it. And so I was sitting there talking to my sisters. I was like, yeah, why are we sleeping on the floor? Yeah, I got beds. She was like, we got to sleep on the floor. I was like,
Well, what was the point of sleeping on the floor?
because it was terrible in Fraser.
Shooting.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
it was a
shootings and-
lot. It was
okay.
terrible in Fraser.
Yeah, I know. My aunt stayed in Peachtree Apartments, and they broke in her house like 2 days after she moved in.
That was too much for me. And I told my mom, I was like, you got to do better than this. Because being in Fraser compared to everywhere else we've stayed, and I know we've had circumstances, being in Fraser, it was just like, this ain't it. I'm like, y'all, and my sister is still pregnant at this time. So I'm like, I didn't ball like with my refund check for school, because you a baller. If you in college and you get like a refund check like over $500, like you rich.
Right.
So I didn't buy like my sister like stuff for the baby. So you can't tell me. It's like I'm a baller now. And so that's why when I came back, I'm just like, what in the world? Because I'm like, it's too many potholes coming in this apartment. Like I didn't see dudes standing on the block, but it's too many of them on the block. They about to, what is this? And she was just like, yeah, we just kind of be kind of quiet in here. I'm like, are you supposed to be here? Like you didn't pay them the rent, right? Like are the lights legit? Like she's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. Why are we here? This is not home.
Right.
But literally they ended up moving. They moved out from over there and went over back
How
to
long did
King.
y'all stay there?
I don't think my mom was there like 3 months. Because I remember when I talked to her, she's like, I had to get
Mama
out
said
of
she had to get
Fraser.
out of there.
She came back to King. I said, that's right. Because I was just like, because I'm just like, I didn't even really go outside. My mom was like, don't even go outside. Now, any other time, I promise you, I would have gave her a heart, because I'm 18. You ain't telling me nothing. But when she was over there in Fraser and I was here coming from college, I'm like, you know what? I know how to pick this, but I'm gonna stay in this house. Because this is a different type of breed out here. I don't, I need to go back. We need to move back to our area, because we can't do that.
So when you graduated college,
I did.
that's when you jumped into your career.
Yes. So I transferred from Lane in 2011, and then I transferred to University of Memphis. And yeah, I graduated in 2013. So I had a bachelor's in criminal justice and a minor in English and African American studies.
Okay.
But the great thing about it, I ended up having an internship at the University of Memphis. And with the University of Memphis, I ended up they provided an internship where I was working at Shelby County Division of Corrections, so the penal farm. So I learned like that other component when it came to how the ins and out of the judicial system work.
Right.
Because you always see like the lawyers, all those different things, but I didn't even realize like they had programs that men or women can take while they're locked up. Like, now you see like, oh, they got their certification or they got their GED, all these
Right.
different things. I never knew that part. So literally I was working with like the fatherhood program as an intern. So I started learning about like the resources in the community from doing my internship.
Okay.
And so I remember seeing the resource book, because they have like it's a real pretty room at the penal farm when they're part of programs, and it has like Mickey Mouse on it, all these different things when like the women bring the children to come see like their dad when they're incarcerated. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. But anyway, I would sit up here, look at the resource book, and I saw a job. I saw an agency in there. So I was like, as soon as I graduate, I'm going to apply for this particular agency. And that's pretty much like what happened. I went to the penitentiary in Clifton, Tennessee, and I was an officer for a little while. So I stayed in Savannah, Tennessee. And then I came back and I started working at the same job I saw in their resource book, working at the penal farm. And I was there like 2.5 years, and I was working as a mental health case manager. And so literally, so from, if I take internship, so I say probably from like 2012 until now, like I've been in like, as I say, social services. So when I really say like I didn't work in 3 facilities, I didn't been a probation officer, I didn't been an HIV social worker, every type of social worker. Usually I'm used to being a bad person.
Did you hold all those positions here in Memphis?
Which ones?
The HIV, the all of them.
Mm-hmm. I have worked in like one thing about social services, because that's what it is. Social services, nonprofit, judicial system. Once you have worked in these places, it's really not hard to find jobs because most people work in the same like community. So if I can pick up the phone and be like, hey, I need this, and this. And they'll be like, okay, Stripper, hold on. I may haven't spoken to you in like 5-7 years. But we've worked in all these fields. It's a community of like people who work in the field. So it's not hard to just be like, all right, I need a job, I'm sick of my job. I'm just gonna call somebody. I'm like, y'all hiring yet? And it works like that. So that term where it's like it's not what you know, it's who you know, it is really true because you can really just pick up the phone if you've done this work for a long time, man. People will mess with you. If you're good to people will mess with you.
Right.
Well, tell me about the curriculum that you had the opportunity to bring.
At 201. So I created the HIV and STI curriculum when I was working at 201.
STI mean
sexually transmitted infections. Yeah. Okay. And so I remember sitting in my office like doing the research because I'm like, okay, I got to make sure it's good because I'm finna go in this pod and teach it to these men, and I know they finna cut up. So I literally wrote the curriculum. I had a lady, and she has passed away, and I miss her so much. She actually was HIV positive, and I had her. She actually came inside of the jail, and because when I was teaching, they was like, "Man, we can tell if somebody got HIV." I'm like, "No, you can't, fools." Like they're like, "Yes, you can." I'm like, "No, you can always look at somebody and be like, hey, they got HIV."
Right.
That's not how that works. So when she kind of came in, gave the presentation, it was just like, Council Watson, she had HIV for real. I said, who wants to come in here with you fools and lie about having HIV? It was like, but she don't look like. I said, we've been through that, right? People don't look like they have something. But she was able to say, like, hey, I am married. I have 2 children. My husband doesn't have it. My children don't have it. Like,
yeah, they say it's not like it was back in the 90s.
Right. And she would say, she was like, HIV ain't my issue. I got diabetes. That's gonna be my issue. And like she would say that. So she did pass away during COVID, but it wasn't, I don't think it was from HIV.
From COVID.
Yeah. But I was just like, dang, you know what I'm saying? But literally she was like, okay, I'm gonna come in there. And I met her at the penal farm when I was working out there because she came out there and spoke to some of the guys that I worked with out there. Mm-hmm. So of course, so when I wrote the HIV curriculum, it's like, hey, I got somebody. And they just like, bruh, how you know people with HIV? I was like, yo, dating cuz somebody, because this is, I'm like, somebody may have it, you just don't know that they have it. But literally, we went through all the type of diseases. And, you know, I'll never forget, like, one of the guys, we were talking about, because I was printing out the pictures. I'm like, okay, y'all, I know what terms we gonna use. I said, y'all know it ain't called a pussy, right? Y'all know it's a vagina, right? They was like, yeah. I said, okay. I said, now we gonna have fun, but some days we're gonna use the right terminology. And so I remember printing off a picture, and I had showed them it had bumps on there, and they're like, oh, it ain't nothing but a hair bump. She good. I'm like, this herpes, bro. They was like, let me see that picture. Let me make sure. I was just like, her. They was like, I don't know. Like, did my parents have that before? I'm like, and something that would open the conversation up to be like, how many times do y'all go to the doctor?
Right.
And they be like, what? I'm like, a doctor. Like, when do y'all get checked? They're like, nah, we good. I mean, if she go, then, you know, she ain't got nothing to mean I'm good. I said, what does that mean, though? I said, because truth be told, I'm like, we can't argue with that. I said, everybody has cheated and slipped up before. And I said, so you can't base her going to the doctor off of how you are. And that would be like our biggest argument. in there.
Right.
Wow.
And then I actually would bring in multiplication cards, right? And they would be like, bro, this is not math. I said it's a motive to my madness. So I would have them pull a card. And I'm like, all right, what's 9 times 9? They were like 81. I said, those how many partners you going to say you slept with? And they're going to be like, I ain't sleep with so many people. I said, just for class purposes. I said, let me ask you a question. If you just slept with 81 partners, do you know their names? All 81 of them. Like, hold up. I said, okay, better yet. I said, how many one-night stands have you had that you did not use protection? And one guy was like, shit, I was a truck driver. Shit, I don't know. I ain't had a lot of one-night stands. I said, okay. I said, here, you all do not tell me if y'all ever had a disease. I'm telling you, we don't even know all that.
Right.
I said, but just think about that, right? I said, if you a truck driver and you didn't mess with a whole lot of folks, you saying it because you're choosing to say this far. You don't know them names. You just getting your rocks off. You ain't been to the doctor. I said, you going through the state. It's like, dang. So I'm just saying. I said, y'all, it's okay to go to the doctor. I was like, ain't nobody judging you for going to the doctor. I said, y'all, I would rather y'all go to the doctor and know than not know.
Right.
Right.
I said, I'm like, it's so you do. I'm like, it is normal. I said, I don't care what little homie, big homie tell you. Take your ass to the doctor.
Right.
And so, like, now, like, when I see all these HIV rates, they're like, oh my God. I'm like, baby, Memphis been in the top 10.
So those statistics are true far as you know of? Like Memphis is I think I seen on Facebook where it said that it's the most populated city with HIV.
Now, I don't know if it's necessarily like, if that statistic is all the way correct, but I will say this, we've always been in the top 10.
Right.
And I love 201 in 2020. So we've always been top 10.
Right. And is it mostly African Americans that you know of? Because that's what they say.
Yeah, but you also got to remember if it was last year, remember they cut some of the money, the funding, when it comes to even having like medications for HIV, funding the HIV population. But if you pay attention, if you ever just look it up, most of your HIV top cities are always Black cities.
Most of the HIV what now?
Cities,
Oh,
right?
I thought you said type C or something. Like it was different.
Most
types.
of the HIV, the cities where it's like the highest is it's always Black cities.
And what's the reasoning behind it?
I don't know. I always say it's interesting how everything, whether it's high blood pressure, diabetes, when it goes to just mortality rates with women, it's always Black people that got the highest statistics. It don't even matter what it
Even
is.
though we the least populated, make up the least amount of the population.
Every single time. So when you go back and look at it, you're going to see, of course, you're going to see Atlanta, Georgia on there. You're going to see Baltimore, Maryland. You're going to see Jackson, Mississippi. You go back and look at these cities, population is mostly Black people. I said, so we doing all this by ourselves.
Right.
Right.
So, but when I say it just never fails. But one thing about the curriculum, like, I know the guys like really took what I was saying in, because I had them do a whole HIV play.
Wow.
Like, they literally made a pamper out of like a sheet and pretend like it was a baby. Like, we really did like a whole setup. And it was like, hey, I got HIV, how's this gonna work? Kind of set up like with Maury. Like, that's how we set it up. And like, I would tell them, I used to get so mad at them. I'm like, y'all be out here doing what y'all do. Like, y'all creating buses. I'm like, y'all are the most creative people in the world when they are locked up. I said, why you want doing this on the outside? Stuff you would never think of. And I'm just like, y'all done sit up here and made a living room from a cardboard box. I mean, set up. And I always tell people, I say, you know what, working in these facilities, you don't realize how creative, because mostly, depending where you are, it's mostly Black people. You don't realize how creative they are until you work behind it. And I'm just like, and that's why I be like, I hate y'all, because y'all got all this, and y'all in here just being stupid.
Right.
Wow.
I do. I be like really get mad at them. And then when I get mad, they like, look at you getting angry. I say, don't judge me, baby. Y'all the killers and the drug dealers. Like, because y'all make me so mad. And what people don't see, like, hey, you don't realize how creative this is. One thing I do realize, I said, first of all, if you ask me, Black people come in the world with trauma. And this is just me speaking. I'm like, when we start realizing, like, first of all, we're in the South and we started learning about like slavery and how that has just impacted just colorism within our own community. We came in the world with trauma. Like, we were born in a country
Right.
that's not our country.
That's right.
Right.
So it's like all this, I gained trauma. We just kind of added on through life events, but that's how we came. And so it does. I get so upset because I tell people criminal justice is my first love. Now, I didn't work in a lot of a lot of places, but I'm like, I said, it makes me so mad because a lot of them that are locked up, I'm like, y'all. I said, y'all don't even know y'all right, y'all. They was like, huh? I'm like, y'all do everything else, but y'all gonna rap and do this. I said, y'all, we have a law library. I said, ask for the card. Look, learn your rights. I said, because you'll be surprised, and they don't do it, and it makes me so mad. I have seen people get on the stand and will say, okay, I understand everything that you're saying to the judge, and get back and come back and be like, I didn't know what he was talking about. I thought I signed for 5 years. No, fool, you signed for 50.
Wow.
Because they get up there and just be like, okay, don't say anything.
Don't say anything.
Right. And so, yes, you're waiting on your lawyer to like represent you because you're paying them, or they was assigned to you.
Do lawyers actually have the client's best interest in mind?
I think it depends on the lawyer. It just depends on the lawyer. And I'm not gonna act like money doesn't play a part.
Right.
It does.
It does play a part, because people work hard when you're paying them a lot of money.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely.
And so I can't say every lawyer has like the best interest, but for the ones I've seen, they really really try. I've seen like some black lawyers who are like amazing.
Right.
And I used to intern for like two of the lawyers here, but I don't think she's no longer practicing. She's a professor at University of Memphis, and the other lady has moved. And like going through like the internships with them, like I knew about like affidavits, depositions. I knew how to do that stuff when I was like 18, because I already was having internships. So I was able to like get to meet Judge Blackett early on, and just being able to meet like her secretary, like, and just getting there like, hey, if you really, because my goal was to be a lawyer.
Okay.
And so she was like, hey, if you want to be a lawyer, you should go to this school, all these different things. But it was just kind of really preparing me. And so I learned a lot from being her intern, as well as learning a lot from being the lawyer's interns. And that kind of is very helpful now. So when I see things happen, like I can look at some and I'll be like, okay, this is what they're going to say. This person got it. Like, I know this is what they're going to say. And so I was just, who's that, George Floyd? Like when they was saying all that, I was literally on Facebook. I'm like, they finna say this, and that. And literally everything I said, that's what happened.
Wow.
And I was dating a guy. He was going to court. I'm on the phone with him. He was like, you think they're gonna lock me up? I said, look, your affidavit has like brought up your old charge or something like that. I said, say this to your lawyer. I said, this double jeopardy. I said, that's an issue. I said, but it's Mercer versus Arizona 1956. I said, I guarantee that lawyer read your affidavit. So he on the phone talking. He got me in his ear, and he was like, hey, did you like read my affidavit? Like, they brought up my old charge, and they put a lot in there about my old charge. Like, isn't that something like with Mercer versus Arizona? Do you know his lawyer was like, oh, you read your affidavit? I didn't even read it. I'm on the phone. I'm like, you see what I'm talking about? I said,
did he keep the lawyer?
No.
Oh, okay.
I said, call me when you get that taken care of.
Right.
Because I was like, you have to know how to like read your paperwork. Remember, Tennessee is a public record state.
Right. It is.
Look your own stuff up. Because you can save your own stuff. Because sometimes, one thing I know, people do not like reading. It depends how bad do you want to get out, get yourself together, whatever. Make sure you're free from this. I don't even care if you did it. Sometimes paperwork, if it's screwed up, it makes you slide through.
Right.
But I just know as a Black community, we don't like to read. We like for people to be like, okay, well, that's right. Or we'll just say, well, I saw it we always say that, like, we saw it on Facebook, and I'm an asshole. I'll be like, all right, let me see what they talking about. I'm going to go research it. I'm going to go look it up, which is probably why my friends be like, okay, Shaniqua, I know you probably looked it up. So what it say? I'm like, why y'all don't look it up? Because I want to make sure if I'm helping somebody, I'm giving them accurate information. I don't want to give you what Facebook said. I want to go read for myself. Right. Like, I don't know who's more matter with the Young Thug trial, him or me. Because I be in there like, this is ridiculous. Like, right. I was like, I had to stop watching it for a second. Because I'm the person that's like, man, like, I know this man. Because I'm looking at all these different things. I'm just like, this doesn't even make sense. Because you have you have laws, you have policies, you have all these different things. And I'm just like, so why are we doing this? And why his lawyer ain't saying this? Because it becomes irritating, especially when like there's something that you're passionate about. But because I've worked in the judicial system and I've seen a lot of things, I just be like, bruh, like if they couldn't, this is my saying, if they could not get us in slavery, the best way to get like, especially African American men, is to get them in the jail system.
Right.
I mean, they don't even, I have seen them not even offer an 18-year-old African American male diversion, and he has the same exact charges as his white counterpart. They won't offer him diversion, but they'll offer the white guy diversion. They go ahead and give him the felony. I'm like, I've seen it happen.
Wow.
And I'm just like, so when you become like, I'm 33, so when you 33, they'll be like, I did that at 18. And so I asked them, like, did they offer you diversion? And they be like, Shnika, what you talking about?
Right.
I was like, 18, 19, usually they try to offer you diversion, especially for something like burglary. They didn't even attempt, they just instantly gave you the felony.
Right.
I'm like I said, that's because we don't know. And then even if your parents are helping you, some of them don't know. So this cycle, it's like multi-generation. It can't break because people are not reading. And when you're not reading, you don't know your rights, you end up in all these type of situations. And I'm like, and don't ever get it twisted. Like I tell people all the time, I said, trust me, I didn't get pulled over from the police. I worked in Clifton, Tennessee. I was like, they didn't pull me over. They literally pulled me over for no reason at all. I'm like, I was black. I was a black female. I was in my blue truck. I was traveling early in the morning to work, and I got pulled over. They gave me a ticket, said I didn't have no insurance. And I know I had insurance because my grandparents was paying the insurance.
Right. Did you have proof of insurance?
I gave it to them. They like, it's
them.
expired.
Right.
And I'm just like, it expired. And because I was like, I want to sign a ticket. So he started like calling for backup and everything. And I was just like, and I looked around and I was like, look, I'm in this little town. It's a whole lot of trees. And I'm like, I don't think I'm going to make this one. Let me go and sign this ticket.
Right.
You know, it's when I was like, let me pick those battles.
But by law, do we have to sign those tickets?
If you don't agree with it.
If you don't agree with it.
If you ask me, but you gotta pick and choose your battle because a lot of times you can get the stuff dismissed anyway. But you know, I tell people pick and choose your battles. Like sometimes they be like, "Oh, it's not admitting that you're guilty." They be like, "Hey, you can go here and pay
That's
it
how
at
they
the
always
precinct."
started off.
Yeah, and it's like sometimes just be like, because now you can be like, "I'm gonna give you a ticket." I'd be like, "Oh, I'm gonna go get it dismissed on stuff, yeah."
Right.
And I don't feel like paying court costs. So I'm gonna figure out how not to pay court costs.
Right.
I'm like, y'all even keep having my insurance going up. They already stealing cars. It's going up because people cars getting stolen.
Right.
So, but it's we in a very awkward world. But I tell people all the time, even with being in like the career world, like even with me having 2 degrees, I said, let me say something. I said, not locked up. When I get pulled over, they don't look at like, oh, you got 2 degrees, you educated. They don't look at none of that. Especially when I'm like in hick tails. I'm black. I'm a woman. That's all they see.
That's all they see, yeah.
They don't care about none of that. They don't care about your status quo. You are black. And so I tell people, I say, you know what, when you finish, or when y'all finish, y'all say we live in post-racial America. We don't. I'm like, y'all, you see a black. I said, they will take my ass to jail like they will take you. I said, the police has harassed me before. And see, sometimes I do. Sometimes I will try to play like, okay, let me see how bad you gonna harass me before I get ready to tell you what you're doing wrong. And then when you realize I'm not a dummy, you fall back. Sometimes, if you ask me, sometimes you gotta sit back, play the fool for a second. Just play the fool. And then when it's time, you're gonna know, like, all right, you did this, and that. And so most people gonna bag off when they realize, like, okay, wait a minute, you not, as I say, you not a dummy. Now you a smart ass. However you want to put it.
Right.
But I think you should do that. Because you can sit here, because it has happened to me. I have seen folks just do the work. I just be sitting up there watching them do it. I'm like, And I'm like, and when it's my time, I'm not going to be like, okay, when it's my time, here goes all of it. I'm going to lay it out from A to Z. Right. Now, what do you have to say?
Right.
And I'll be like, we're done.
Wow.
And it happens. And I just hate, like, most people, we don't know how to like advocate for ourselves when it's time. We can advocate about like some dumb crap, you know what I'm saying? But stuff to really keep us like out the newspaper, out these jail systems, just out of anything, we don't do that. I'm like, we need to change our mindset because like we don't realize. I just had this conversation. I'm like, I said, when it comes to black men, I'm like, y'all, I tell my friends, I'm like, yeah, I guarantee we're gonna be baby mama number like 6. They was like, huh? I said, yeah. I'm like, bro, I said, you don't even argue about it. Be baby mama number 6. I'm like, why you saying baby mama number 6? I'm like, pay attention to like the laws. I said, and it's probably still on my Facebook. When Tennessee became a permit list state, I'm like, and that was 7/1/2021. I said, that is not good for a city like Memphis. Here we are in 2024. And I was just like, see, when I said it on Facebook, yeah, it's going to be perfect and blah, blah, blah. How?
Right.
I said, now we going through what we going through. And I'm just like, duh. I was like, that was very much intentional. I was like, y'all don't pay attention. I said, just like they didn't change all these different laws, right? I said, I'm like, usually if I don't care, you shot somebody in the toe, it's aggravated assault. Now it's already attempted murder. They switched it up because we became a permanent state. I may be the only person to be paying attention to it, and that's why I be hollering at the phone with the young thugs though. But I literally like pay attention to like what's going on. I'm like, we're not gonna have anybody. I'm like, we're gonna have to be able to like procreate with like another ethnicity. I said, because our race is slowly dying. And I said, when I try to tell my male friends, they be like, Shaniqua, don't start. I'm like, nah, fool, I'm telling you for real.
Right.
And like, I have a whole lot of arguments with them. I'm like, you know what, do whatever you want to do. And then I will be like, see, and look how many of your homies you done lost. They're like, see, here you go. I'm like, I'm just saying.
Right. Have you ever lost anybody close to you?
Yes, childhood friends, I lost last year, November. I was in North Carolina at a conference for my job. And my cousin texted me and he was like, he said, I want to tell you before you see it on Facebook. I'm like, at this point, I'm like, see what on Facebook? And he was like, somebody in South Memphis had who we both grew up with. He was like, he got killed. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I remember I'm sitting at the conference and I was like, wait, I said, you're not supposed to be lying on Facebook. Like, you can't listen to none of that. And he was like, he said his name and he was like, that's the only one I know out of South Memphis. And I was like, I had just seen him in September. And I remember when I saw him, because I still have folks who stay in South Memphis. And I was just like, he was like, what's up? I'm like, I ain't talking to you. Like, and he was just like, man, this is my number. I'm like, I'm not talking to you. He was like, well, let me tell you what I've been doing. I'm like, the same stuff you've been doing all your life. I said, look, I have begged you. I'm like, come out the streets. I said, because you're not a dummy. Like, you're not a dummy. I said, yeah, you've been locked up a million times. I said, you've been going to jail all your life. I said, but you're not a dummy. I'm like, you're going to have to get out these streets before they just take you away from here. I'm like, I said, you got kids you didn't see grow up. I said, but you started over with some more kids. I'm like, I'm coming as a friend. I'm like, I said, because what I do know, like, when I stay in South Memphis, like, if somebody would be mean to me, like, he gonna beat you up. Like, he ain't gonna, like, right, you not gonna win. Brother. Everybody know, yeah. And I'm like, I don't even know why he was like that with me, but I'm like, I really am typically, like, a really nice person. So he was one of them people, like, hey, if you're nice to him, like, you may say, like, dang, I'm broke, I need $50. If you are a nice person to him, I don't know how he went and got that 50. He gonna be like, but you said you needed $50, so here you go. So yes, he may has done a whole lot of other stuff, but I'm just like, but as a friend, that bothered me. And some days, like when I hear like certain songs, like I hear like John B. Are You Still Down? Because he would play that song so much. I'm like, bro, you must be thinking you talking to these like, get off the phone. But now every time I hear that song, I be like, dang, you know what I'm saying? And I realize like he's not here. Right. And so I still have days I'm just like, dang, you know what I'm saying? Because what I do realize, like, if I get into it like a dude, I'm be like, if I get into it with a dude, I'll be like, now, let me see if this man in jail. If he not in jail, I'll be like, this what happened? Because I know he'll be, I'm like, but come beat him up. Like, I got you. So there's like, I ain't got to come beat you up. And so that still kind of bothers me on days. And then I literally was finna mess with one of my other friends. I was finna get ready to be on, because I knew I hear from him once or twice a year. So I was finna get ready, message him on Facebook, and just start talking crazy. Because I'm like, it's your year, what's up? Right. Looked on his page, they say rest in peace. I'm like, who they talking about? Like, I know his stepdad passed, so I know his mama passed away. And so I was like, when is the last time I heard from him? So I had to look it up, found out that he had gotten killed, and I had to like
Here in Memphis?
Yes, I had to take a moment to like step back. I was just like, and I looked at our last message because he had just lost his mom probably like 4 or 5 months prior to. And I was just like, look, I'm like, hey, if you want to talk, you need something, you just want to go eat, whatever. I'm like, call me. So, you know what I'm saying? Because this is a lot. You lost your mom, you lost your stepdad, you the only child, it's just you. Your grandma got dementia. I saw that and I know for a fact, I probably like Loki was like crying like a month because I went through like some homeless parts of my life, even as an adult. And so, because I'm
You said
stubborn.
homeless?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I literally when I finished my first degree, I became homeless in like 2013. I graduated in May 2013, became homeless in November.
How did you end up getting homeless?
Literally, my grandma had died. I was in the house with my granddad, and literally he just lost when my grandma died. And I was just like, I ain't the one who did it, so I didn't have anywhere to go. My mom was staying with
So granddaddy
somebody.
put you out?
And so I was, I say this, I was staying in Starlight because I be staying in the whole hotel. That's why I was staying. I was staying in Starlight. Sometimes I would sleep in my truck. I would be in Motel 6, like whatever. So you can't ask me to do an inn, a motel. At this point, I'm like, I'm not going. I'm not
Right.
coming. You can't even ask me to come to a party. It's going to have to be a Hyatt,
Right.
a Marriott. I'm not coming.
Right.
I'm like, because the trauma that I went through staying at these hotels, you hear people getting raped.
Right.
You hear that. You hear women screaming when you're at some of these hotels. So I'm just like, I wouldn't even sleep when I was kind of going through that
Wow.
part. And I remember, and that was stubborn me, but I feel like I had to go through those things. He was the one, I know when my grandma died, that was the person I was on the phone with, and I told him. And so when I was like, I don't have anywhere to go, he was like, Shaniqua, just come over here to my grandma's house with me. I'm like, no, I ain't finna come over there. I'm like, I ain't finna do nothing with you. He's like, I'm not asking you to do anything with me. He's like, instead of you trying to stay in all these different places, I'm like, nah, I'm good. And when because I had met him while I was going to the University of Memphis, and I was dealing with this guy at this time, and he didn't even care. I was because that was my event person. He was like, have you eaten? I'm like, no. He didn't drop me off in my car. He was like, Shaniqua, I'll come get you from the school. My grandma cooked. He's like, you can eat. And he's like, I'll bring you back before he come pick you up.
Right.
And I was just like, literally would have to make me eat. So it was like that took a lot out of me when I saw that he had like passed away. But of course, there was nobody to tell me because everybody gone, and his grandma had dementia.
How long had he been?
He had been there like a year, and so it just so these past couple months, it has been couple months of last year, kind of going on this year, it has been like really, really off for me. I'm like, because that's like 2 people. And I'm just like I said, the first person, like, anytime you make sure I'm trying to make sure I'm good, like I'm hungry, I'm homeless, I'm gonna always have like a different respect for you.
Mhm.
I don't care who you date, you get married, it's just gonna be a different kind of connection because you didn't have to make sure I was okay.
Right.
And just like the guy, like, it don't matter who I was dating, who I'm messing with, he ain't gonna let nobody like do anything to me.
Right.
And so I tell people all the time, I said, some people who be out in the streets, they know they shouldn't be out here. I said, but it is good to have them people that just like have your back unconditionally. Like, you don't have to always date them, whatever. Like, they just genuinely make sure you're okay because you're a good person. So it's like losing 2 people like that. I can only say it's maybe one other person that I can just say, like, I don't think I'll have bothered him all year. That I can literally just call and be like, what's up? He's like, what you want, Shaniqua? But what I do know, if I decide that I want to go work in any facility, and yes, he's in the game, he gonna make sure I'm okay probably before I realized it.
Right.
Because somebody, one of his little homies or some homies, they gonna know exactly who I am because he's whatever he has said. Watch out for whatever he has said. They truly do that.
Right.
And it does make your job easier when you have somebody that is looking out for you, when you don't always realize they're looking out for you.
Right.
Like, I can call and cuss him out now and he'd be like, "Shit, don't start it." But if I would say with him, if I'm working in a facility, he gonna make sure I'm good, and I'll be like, well, whatever. And I don't need your help, blah, 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 blah. He like, mm-hmm. And I'm
But you
like,
still do it.
absolutely. So that's why I'm just like, it's not too many guys like that. And I'm just like, some guys, you can date them and they don't care about you once you date them and broke up, whatever. So to still have like just like one person, like, I know for sure, I'm like, this fool right here, I know he finna have my back. I said, so if I'm finna call him, I gotta make sure like this is good because he finna go out. But I'm like, you gonna come. Like you gonna come. Like once you like sometimes you have to like humble yourself. And I said one, it's another guy like that, but I'm like, he go out too much. Like, bro, you gotta give me 20 minutes of going off. Like, are you gonna like come help me change this flat when you finish going
off, right?
Like, but it's good to still have those people, but just kind of losing like the two who I knew, especially during those times. It has been like hard for me. So some days I didn't start back watching the news until like 2020. Because I can't watch the news working in facilities. I can't do that because I'm going to prejudge you. And I was your lower level counselor working at 201. So whoever you saw the news, I was the first counselor you met in the morning. Like, welcome to the jail. That was me.
Right.
And so I'm like, I can't watch the news because they're going to be like, you did what? And I want to be in your face. Like, now on the news, they say, I don't want to do all that. I got to go in there with a clear
Be
head.
unbiased. That's true. Right.
Man, what an amazing story. Thank you, Miss Shanika Watson, for being on the show. We appreciate everything. I'm telling you. So that was an amazing story.
Was.
It really was. Like, wow, it's so much, so, and I can just sit back and just listen to you for hours. Like, so, but I appreciate you coming on. Give it up for
me. Thank you.
Before we go, do you have any questions for us?
Yeah, how did y'all get started? Because like, if you want for Facebook, Facebook is a great marketing too.
Right.
So I'm just like, it's a lot. Like seriously,
it was just well, he actually was a social media influencer.
Oh, okay.
And go ahead.
Yeah, I've been telling my brother, let's do this for years. Let's do this thing for years. So he finally, I kept on telling him about certain things I was doing and stuff like that. And he was like, all right, let's go ahead and do it then. So yeah, it was just timing. Sometimes some things you have to wait on timing. It's a season.
Absolutely.
So it was just the right season to do it, and I believe we in that season. So we just want to hear Memphis stories, some amazing stories about people and what we don't care the culture, we don't care the race or anything like that. We just want to hear some amazing stories from the real people. So that's hence the word Memphis Unheard.
Because we don't always get that part.
Right. Yeah.
It's always if the news can paint a picture, they can paint a picture.
Right.
I'm like, y'all, some of us go through it and we turn out okay.
Right. I know, right? So,
So-
like I said, you have an amazing story. We appreciate you coming on the show and sharing that story with us because, like you said, they always want to show the negative. Yeah, it was some negative things in there, but you turned it into a positive.
You did a great job of doing that.
Thank you.
Most
It's
definitely,
hard, though.
you did from going from Hickory Hill to Whitehaven to Orange Mound to Atlanta to dealing with a dad that chose someone else over you, and it's just you have an amazing story. We appreciate you coming on. Truly, thank you so much.
I
Thank
tell like y'all need small people. I know some folks.
Yes, ma'am. Do you have any contact information you want to give for any reason?
So yes, so I do have I do an estate planning business, and I also teach people how to make money by being grant reviewers because they don't tell Black people all you gotta do is read and you can make some extra money from your reviewing grants. So literally, it's called like Watson Rights LLC. That's actually basically you can look it up on Google. Book appointments. Like if you want to like search for a grant, you want to learn how to like become a grant reviewer. If you literally just want to get your estate together, because I can't take any more T-shirts or fish fries.
I just had one of the hardest ones this weekend.
Oh yeah, and I was just like, we mess up because we ain't got our stuff in order.
Right.
And I didn't mention, but literally, I put it like this: from 22 to 29. I bury most of my family members. It's no blueprint into how you bury people.
Right.
So I'm your person that's gonna go to war with 100 family members, but I'm gonna be the one that's gonna win. But I had to go through that process of burying people. I took care of business first, and I grieved later. And so I was just like, okay, God, what we doing? I was like, if you want it to be where I have to go out here, especially show just Black people what they need to do to get their affairs in order. So we ain't got to keep doing these fish fries and T-shirts because the person you paying for the T-shirts don't give the money to the family. Then I will try to do my best to do that, and that's what I've been out here. That's what I've actually been out here doing.
Right.
And so yeah, I do a lot of that because I'm like I'm tired, and we gonna run out of money with GoFundMe. So I mean,
right.
And if you ever need a facility, we most definitely have a beautiful facility auditorium downstairs. If you ever need that, we most definitely we believe in helping people. So if you ever need that facility, just give us a shout. We come collab and come together and make it work, and where we can empower more people. So I think that's a great thing you're doing.
Yeah, and if y'all want to learn about grants, how to review, I'm telling you, I made $2,600 reading 12 grants.
Oh, yeah.
And I was at work. I'm just like, I'm going to read these grants, and they paid.
Right.
Most definitely.
What's your LLC name again? Spell it out.
Watson, Watson, Wright, WRITES. And when I teach, my class is get paid to read. That's why I kept saying, like, we don't want to read. You can make money from just reviewing grants. People only want money from getting grants.
Right.
I said, you can read and make $2,600. You read Facebook all day long.
All day long. Right.
Yeah, make the money.
Well, I want to figure. I mean,
We
find
most
out how to
definitely want to know. We always looking for an
opportunity.
opportunity.
Yeah.
So
Literally, everything you think of, you learn something. I tell people, what I need you to do is to literally, if you learn how to review the grants, that teaches you how to write it, and you know what the reviewer is looking for. I said, you don't get that. And I copyrighted my material because I know what world we in. So I just got my stuff, got my letter in the mail last week where it's been copyrighted with the U.S.
that's great. So
copyright protection. I'm like, no, you're not stealing this material. I worked hard.
you know what I mean?
So you know how to copyright too. That's another thing, another service you can provide.
Because I'm like, they don't tell us this. So
Right,
a lot of stuff we gotta be able to protect ourselves when we work hard, like establishing stuff. I'm like, Black folks work harder than any other race.
Right,
We just have to. So no, I done worked hard. Y'all done took a lot of stuff from us. You ain't taking this.
Right,
right.
So yeah.
Yeah, so we most definitely would like to help with that.
Yeah.
Get a class together, group your stuff copyrighted, nobody can steal it. So get a class together, man, for you to come in and get teaching and everything else, and we'll figure the cost and everything else. That's wonderful what you're doing. I believe you're gonna do even bigger things with that. So it's fun times.
Yeah.
I believe that's fun time. Right?
Yeah, I have fun with it. I have
See what
more
I'm
fun.
saying?
I have more fun, and I have more fun with the estate planning business simply because literally my title is every time I teach it, I'm like, it's not another fish fry. They like,
Come
we
on,
gonna
man.
have fish.
Come on.
I'm like, no. They're like, why are we talking about fish? I said, because this is what we doing. Fish, T-shirts, candlelights. I'm just like, and the funeral costs $10,000 or more.
Right,
So, yeah,
right.
I'm being T-shirts. I'm the person that be so mad. I said, people don't invite me because I'm not coming. Y'all done spent $30 on balloons. You can put that towards the flowers.
Right.
I have a whole
Come on,
lot
man.
of issues, right?
Right.
Because you're paying people to make the shirts, 100 shirts. If they're not giving that money to the family that's trying to raise money, then
Right.
No
what
shirts.
are you
No shirts.
doing?
Make it make sense. Come on.
I tell my folks, no, you don't put me on a t-shirt. If somebody try to put me on a t-shirt, I'm like, beat them up and burn it.
Right.
Don't play
I
with
tell
me.
my people the same thing.
Don't play with
and
me.
then any of my people that pass, I don't rock the T-shirts.
Yeah.
I don't
We'll rock the T-shirts.
I got a band list.
I want to remember you as you are.
as you were,
Yeah.
right?
And where you were smiling, laughing, we kicked it. You know, that's how I want to remember.
Because
you,
it's triggers. What people don't
Right.
realize.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother conversation.
Right.
We don't know our triggers.
Right.
You putting stuff on the shirt like you
You
like.
have
Okay,
to remind me every time I
right,
look at it.
Every time I watch the shirt, that's a trigger.
Right.
And if you're not mentally together, you breaking down.
Right.
Like no,
Right.
don't.
Grow.
It's
Come on,
okay.
man.
I can
everybody.
like I
going
can keep the
on.
old bitch, but I'm gonna put that over there. I don't have to keep seeing it on a t-shirt.
Right.
It's bringing back
Yeah.
memories
Too much. It's
that,
too
and
much.
we struggle with mental health as a society anyway.
Right.
Stop re-traumatizing
Yeah,
yourself.
that's too much.
Right.
Man. We appreciate everything.
Yes. Thank you,
Man,
y'all.
I'm telling you, we appreciate this show has been amazing. So if you would like to subscribe, you haven't already subscribed.
I already did it.
Okay, great. So if you guys haven't subscribed, please go to www.memphisunheard.com. Remember, we're on all social media platforms. Until next time, we out.
All right.